Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's July 15th, and right now we are looking at the visible satellite imagery. You can see we got Washington and Oregon here. Check out that marine there pushing in towards Olympia, up and down the Washington, Oregon coast. Look at this monsoon moisture riding up across Oregon, Idaho, western Montana, and Wyoming. Let's scroll through the day yesterday, and you can see that marine layer burned back, but not quite all the way off the Washington coastline here. And you'll see the thunderstorm activity popping up across portions of Oregon as well, creeping on into eastern Oregon. And then take note of this. Look at this hot spot here, Pioneer Fire right on Lake Chelan. Starts producing a lot of smoke yesterday. I actually had a pyrocumulus cloud with it for a while. I did not see any lightning associated with that though. And then we scroll in the overnight hours. You can see some of the hot spots still going on. The GOES 18 across Oregon, Washington, some lightning across southeast Idaho. We scroll on in through this morning and you can see all the smoke produced by the Pioneer Fire here. Still that monsoon moisture is going to be an issue here across Oregon today. And look at this marine layer. Nice, glorious marine layer. The mossbacks are loving it here. Portland North across a lot of the Seattle Metro and western Washington here. Nice gray skies this morning. A little bit of a nice change of pace from the very warm days we've been having. But we are going to warm up once this burns off as we go through the afternoon hours. You can see the Olympic Mountains are above that marine layer. So are the Cascades. There's Mount Rainier right here. And then we scroll towards where we are now, and you can still see the smoke out there. And we're going to start burning back this marine layer here very shortly. Taking a look at what's coming up. So this is for Wednesday. Let me back up to Tuesday here, and we start to introduce this lightning threat. And again, this is going to have the possibility of triggering some fires here with some very dry conditions across the region. Then Wednesday, this moves up north a little bit further as the system's going to be tracking up the coastline. And that's going to be the next big weather maker here that we're going to be watching and diving into some of these details as we go through the video here this morning. Also, a critical burn environment will be in place for portions of eastern Washington and Oregon over the next few days. Here we kick off in towards Thursday, and you can see across the Blue Mountains still that lingering lightning threat there. Taking a look at the isolated dry thunderstorm potential for today, it does include Medford and Boise. And as we go for tomorrow, you can see it starts to creep up in towards portions of western Oregon here as well. Now, this is Medford also calling attention to the lightning potential again here today. We've covered that pretty well here, and you can see gusty winds could kick off some of those fires out there if they do get going, and they could spread rapidly. This is Spokane National Weather Service here, region-wide lightning, gusty outflow winds, little to no rain, and that is the big problem with this type of thunderstorms here. They're not producing enough precipitation to extinguish any fires that they may help create. So this is a great graphic here by the National Weather Service Spokane. They issued this at 3:30 this morning. Taking a look at Seattle yesterday, another 80 plus degree day, 10 in a row. That's 83 degrees. We're probably headed towards 80 degrees again here today. The average high for this time of year is 78. So we're not setting any records, but we are going to remain warm here. And we'll go into that in some more detail as we go through the video here this morning. Taking a look at this weather station. This is great, especially for the price. It builds its own forecast for it. It's got a lightning detection system, stores all the data for you in the cloud. So click on that link below if you want to save 10% off and get yourself one. You can see all the people that are buying them out here across the region now, and you can click on these individual locations here, and hopefully some people out in some of the more rural areas can buy some of these stations. So you can still see we have some gaps to cover out here. I know not a lot of people live out in some of these areas. You can see the Seattle Metro, Portland Metro covered quite nicely here, but it's still very fun to watch. You know, we've got a lot of microclimates here across the Pacific Northwest, so you want to watch your individual location. This station is very fun, very attractive unit, and it's got a great smartphone app with it as well. So taking a look at the European model as of last night. So if we put this into motion, you can see it's very subtle features going to emerge off the coastline here. And you can kind of see it creeping up as we go through the day Tuesday off the Oregon coast. There's Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So this is definitely going to have some convection involved with it, and this has been showing up quite persistently in the models coming up. And then this tries to track up across Washington here as well, kind of favoring the higher terrain in the European model. But these global models are notorious for not handling these very subtle summer features and how they produce lightning very well. So we're going to dive into the high resolution models here in a moment coming up. And now, first of all, looking at the European, you can see that cyclonic rotation off the coastline here. This is going to meet up with some colder air aloft and move up the coastline. And here it goes as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This is what's going to help kick off this convection. As you can see, that southeast flow there move up across the area. So that is the system we're watching, and you can see it here. There's that colder air aloft and that cyclonic flow right off the coastline. So this is what's going to be creeping up and bringing us this potential as we go on in through Tuesday night into Wednesday. Taking a look at the high resolution North American model, This is composite reflectivity. This is what the Doppler radar may look like as we go through the next 2.5 days. So you can see as we go through today, the thunderstorm potential mainly again across south central and southeast Oregon and towards Idaho. A couple of thunderstorms possible with that activity. And then we start to go through Tuesday, and you can see some of this activity coming up across the Oregon Cascades. We go on in through Tuesday afternoon. You can see this riding up across some of the coastal areas as well. No doubt some lightning would be associated with these storms. Again, these are not big precipitation producers, but a few of these could be pretty prolific lightning producing storms here as they move across western Oregon. You can see this swooping up the Willamette Valley towards the Portland Metro as we go through very early Wednesday morning, and perhaps even including the Puget Sound by the time we go in towards Wednesday and we get in towards the morning and late morning hours here as this rides up across the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, a lot of these models have very difficult time handling just how much lightning can be produced with these setups here, but you can clearly see it evident here on the North American model. Let's take a look at the high resolution model. This goes out only 48 hours, but let's go ahead and see what it says. This is for today. A few thunderstorms to the south, as we mentioned. As we go through the day tomorrow, again, some of these could be producing lightning by the time we go towards Tuesday around noon, early afternoon. You can see it moving up across western Oregon. Look at that, right over smack dab over Eugene by the time we go towards Tuesday afternoon. So these have lightning potential with them as they move up north across the region, off the coastal areas here too, Washington, Oregon, as we move through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And then you can see this, that's where the model run ends Wednesday morning with this precipitation around. We do have that lightning threat. Now looking at lightning flash density potential, I'm just going to kind of scroll through this until we get towards Tuesday, and you can see that emerge across western Oregon, move up towards the Portland Metro here, and perhaps including western Washington as we go through Wednesday morning. So something interesting here, this convection is going to be elevated, and you can really see that here on the sounding chart. You're looking at the surface here and you're looking up towards 39,000 feet right there. So you can kind of see this elevated layer of instability. It starts at about 12,000 feet for Portland here. So interesting stuff. You know, these bases are quite high. And sometimes if you set this up right during a sunset period or the nighttime period, you can get some really photogenic lightning strikes with this activity. This is Seattle, Tacoma showing something similar here. Not quite as unstable there as we go through Wednesday afternoon, but it does show that instability. And again, it starts at about 12,000 feet. And I'll show you a shot that I got in 2020. I took this myself here. You can see the Olympic Mountains. Some of these top out at around 7,000 feet. So you can imagine the bases here. You're looking up over 10,000 feet. Glorious lightning storm back in August of 2020 after a very hot day. So sometimes if things set up right across the region, you can get some really photogenic stuff with that. So if we take a look at 700 millibars, 10,000 feet, let's put this into motion. This is the North American model. Again, this is that cyclonic rotation. You can see it coming up the coastline here, and you can kind of see that southeast flow here. It's going to be dragging some of this monsoon moisture back up into the region. You can see that little low pressure system, that upper level low, spinning off the coastline there, spreading its energy back north as we go through the day Wednesday. So that is the troublemaker here coming up, and hopefully this isn't going to be starting any fires here with the lightning that it does produce across the area. And this is looking at 700 millibars one more time here on the North American model. Let's scroll through that, and again you can kind of see that moving up the coastline there. I like to give these visual diagrams so you guys know what is going on as we go on in through the next couple of days. So taking a look before we forget, let's look at the extended forecast. This is the European ensemble control here. So it's basically the deterministic run. And you can see the ridge we've kind of got in place here as of yesterday afternoon, sliding across Canada. Then it kind of hangs out here a bit. Look at this ridge building all the way up across central and northern Canada. I mean, just an impressive heat wave is going to be coming in with this. And you can see this cat and mouse game here for the Pacific Northwest as we scroll on in towards this weekend. Very strong ridge here with this trough here across the Gulf of Alaska. So just exactly where this axis sets up and where this trough sets up will be a big determining factor on how warm we're going to be. And are we going to get one of these troughs to eventually pinwheel and scroll down across the Pacific Northwest? It's been hinting at that at times, but then it's been taking it away at times as well. As you can see, we were looking at this trough being a little bit closer in some previous runs here, and it's kind of backed off on that, and then it shows it coming at a later period. So, you know, it's something we don't want to get too caught up in just yet, but there is always hope off in the extended forecast for some cooler weather. This is the GFS ensemble here for Seattle, Tacoma. You can see headed towards probably the low 80s today, and then warming up quite nicely for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But this depends on just how much cloud cover we get from this system as well. It could knock a few degrees off that. And if we look at the daily 2-meter max temperature, Again, for today, Seattle 82. Look at this, nice and warm across the Willamette Valley, eastern Washington, Oregon pushing 100 degrees. You're looking at some low 80s, maybe across some of southwest BC as well. As we go through tomorrow, you'll notice that warm up there, 88 again for Seattle. You're starting to hit 92 for Olympia, some mid and upper 90s for the Willamette Valley here. And then we go into Wednesday, maybe knocking down a few degrees here. Actually, not a bad cool down there across the Willamette Valley as this system moves up Tuesday night and onto Wednesday morning. Then we go to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You see this heat kind of remains here. And look at some of these temperatures here for eastern Washington by the time we go towards Sunday. Look at this, 108 there, and then 107 for the Tri-Cities, Spokane at 106. There's Monday, Tuesday. Oh, look at that, 79 degrees. Maybe we'll get out of the 80s here eventually at some point next week. No promises just yet. So 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, check it out. You can see the above average signal, definitely a product of that ridge developing all the way up into Canada here. And look at that below average signal here across some of the central USA as well. This is a 6 to 10 day. You can kind of see this monsoon feature here across the southwest. Normal chances here for the Pacific Northwest. And just one more look at the 7 day significant fire potential here as we go, Tuesday, Wednesday across portions of the Pacific Northwest as that system rides up. And then this critical burn environment will be in place here, especially for the east slopes of the Cascades of Washington, for example, NW6 down towards Oregon. But lots to watch here. I'll probably do an update on my Twitter feed here coming up. Maybe I'll even do another video later today if it does show kind of an uptick here in the afternoon model runs on what is to come with this feature moving up the coastal area, because it can be quite the interesting weather maker across the region here. It's pretty rare that you get lightning west of the Cascades, so when it does happen, it can be a big deal. And especially with the dry conditions in place already, hopefully we're not going to start any fires. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again either later today or tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.